Would you say then that Jesus was not politically correct in his day?
If Jesus was nothing else, he was politically incorrect. If Jesus was ever living today, I think he would be accused of being intolerant and probably locked up somewhere.
Yeah.
I think, well, just to make it clear, right? Strictly speaking, being politically incorrect is when you say things that would be considered offensive to someone, right?
Sure.
Or you're generally intolerant towards someone. You just can't tell people these days that they're wrong, right? About anything. That's because that would be politically incorrect. You can't hurt people's feelings, right? Because if you hurt their feelings, you're not being tolerant towards other people's ideas and beliefs, right? Now, what's funny about this one is that the stereotypical image atheists have about Jesus, and even some Christians, is that Jesus was very tolerant and politically correct. He would respect and accept any point of view, right? Okay, but if you read the Bible, it's obvious that Jesus never sugarcoated his message, right? Just because someone, or even a Jewish elite like a Pharisee or a Sadducee or anyone may be offended, he never watered down the message just because it may hurt someone's feelings or that they may feel left out or something like that, right? Can I share with you a quick story?
Yeah, please, yeah.
I once remember talking to someone not too long ago when he claimed to be a Christian, right? He said he's a Christian. Well, I said, well, have you repented and put your faith in Jesus? Do you read the Bible and follow what it says? Do you even know what the teaching of Jesus is? And the answer was no, right, to all of that. And I said, well, in that case, it's very unlikely that you're a Christian. You're not a Christian, right? And you know, the response was, how dare you judge me? How do you think you are to say that I'm not a Christian? You are so intolerant and certainly don't behave like Jesus, right? Now, first of all, telling people the truth nowadays is considered intolerant or even unloving or even judgmental, really. It's just not politically correct to correct people. But it's the opposite, right? Telling people the truth is the most loving thing you can do.
Absolutely,
right?
Yeah.
So, was Jesus politically incorrect? Now, did he ever correct people, right? Was he always tolerant, right, towards ideas? That's the question, right? Well, I would say, to the shock of all those listening today and those apparently who probably don't know Jesus, he was very politically incorrect, right? In fact, at one time when Jesus was accused of casting demons out using demonic powers, he actually said those words to the Pharisees, "You brood of vipers," which like offspring of vipers. That's not politically correct. He hurt their feelings, right? He wouldn't do that. I mean, we have a whole chapter in the Bible, Matthew 23, which is probably the most politically incorrect chapter of the whole Bible, right? This is where he refers to he was preaching to the crowd, and then he saw some Pharisees and Sadducees, and he turned to them and says, "Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, you hypocrites!" And he said that 7 times, and then he explained why they were hypocrites, right? He kept repeating himself, and then he said Jesus condemned their behavior, he condemned their claims, he condemned their attitudes, he condemned their teaching. That was very politically incorrect. And just to sum it up, he finished off with saying, "You serpents, brood of vipers, how can you escape the condemnation of hell?"
Yeah.
So was Jesus politically correct? I don't think so. You know, now, I don't know if we have time, Paul, but you be the judge of that. But remember, you've got to be politically correct and not hurt my feelings. Can I have just an extra moment
of course.
to explain how being politically correct is a self-refuting argument? I just want to show you how it's a self-refuting argument.
Sure.
So when people are faced with this, so that they don't feel that they're stuck and they can respond to it, you know. So in the past, tolerance used to mean that all men are equal and that all ideas are not equal, right? So all men are equal, but not all ideas are equal. That means you could judge someone's idea, but everyone is still equal, right? But today, apparently, it means the opposite. All ideas are equal, but not all men are equal. That means you have to accept someone's idea and beliefs. Otherwise, you yourself are not equally valued because you're judgmental and you should be rejected. So if you disagree with someone's idea or belief these days, then you are rejected because you're being intolerant, judgmental towards that person. But if you think about it, that is exactly the definition of self-refuting argument. Okay, so what's a self-refuting argument? As you probably know, Paul, a self-refuting argument is that if it's true, if the argument is true, then the statement itself is actually false. So it backfires on itself. I'm going to give you a quick example and tell you how being tolerant in this way, being politically correct, is a self-refuting argument. Here's an example. If I said to you, if someone says no one knows the truth, then if that statement is true, that no one knows the truth, then that person couldn't possibly be right about no one knowing the truth, because that person is claiming to know the truth about other people when he says no one knows the truth, right? That will be a self-refuting argument. So if he's right, then he's wrong, and that means the statement backfires on itself. Well, telling people that they must be tolerant towards other people's ideas and beliefs, which means to be politically correct, is a self-refuting argument. Let me show you how. It's because when you're being intolerant towards other people's ideas and beliefs, then you are being rejected because you're not being politically correct. But but if they reject you, they're being intolerant towards you. That means they're not being politically correct, right? So if they tell you off for being intolerant, then you can remind them that they themselves are being they're not being tolerant towards you. So if everyone must be tolerant to each other, then they must be tolerant to your intolerance, because otherwise they're behaving the exact opposite of what they're saying it should be, right?
Yeah.
So they have to be tolerant towards my intolerance, right? Makes sense. That's how. That's what happens when people make self-refuting arguments. It backfires on itself.